How's it going, everybody? My name's Dave Whipple and you're watching Bushradical. A couple weeks back I started this series called the $1 Survival Kit. And I started with this. This is a bargain basement 99-cent ferro rod. It's got a striker, it's good hard steel, kind of like a hacksaw blade. And it pretty much sucked. It needed to be trued along the back edge to a good 90. And I took the other edge, you can't see it because it's in tape. I took the other edge and sharpened it so you could cut something with it. Not a knife you'd actually want to use, but you could cut something with it. Now for 99 cents, this is going to give you a cutting tool of some kind. Cut cloth and cut leather and cut string, and it'll give you fire for 99 cents. But wait, that's not everything. It also has a whistle. So you've got a signaling device, you've got a fire starter, and you have a little tiny cutting tool. 99 cents, that's not bad, but let's see what we can do for $2. Stay tuned. All right, for $2, I think one of the next things that you're gonna find that's in that 99-cent category that you can add to that tool to make a $2 survival kit would be a used pot. Used pot or a used pan. I went to Habitat for Humanity and I bought both of these guys for $1 each. This is just an old anodized aluminum pot. It's super light. It's obviously strong. You can see that this pan is also $1. Now you can have your choice of the two. I don't see where you're gonna go wrong with either one, but I will say this. This is probably gonna be less conducive to carrying water, less conducive to boiling water. As far as, you know, game that you're gonna cook in a frying pan, if it's actually a survival kit, it's probably not going to be something you're going to be too concerned about. But it's probably not what I would choose. You could choose it, but it's probably not what I would choose. I would probably go with the pot over the pan. The reason being, something like this is much more conducive to boiling water that might be full of germs and bacteria. This is what I would choose, and there is your $2 survival kit. This is a lot of what you need. So you've got fire, a cutting tool, and water, and cooking, and that's $2. That's pretty hard to beat. Now going from $2 on upward, there's so many things that you could add. At a flea market, you can find a saw for a couple dollars, and you might have $4 into a saw, a ferro rod, whistle, pot. But staying in the $2 survival kit range, I think there's one more thing that we can add to the mix that would make it so much more usable, and it's probably not going to cost us anything. A butter knife. Butter knives, they're good spring steel. I don't know what kind of steel they are, but anything that's got spring to it is probably a fairly good steel. Now this particular butter knife is a one-piece butter knife. The handle and the blade are one piece. Some of them are like, you know, there's the blade and then you can see there's a seam and the handle's maybe hollow. This is just a solid piece of metal. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna take and make this into a knife. This is not a new idea. There's lots of videos on YouTube about taking a butter knife and making it into a knife. But to stay in that $2 range and get the most you can out of $2 for a survival kit, I think you'd be hard pressed to do much better than a butter knife. And I bet you got a drawer full of them in your kitchen. So let's get this sucker sharp. First thing I want to do with this knife is I want to give it a point. A knife without a point is less than perfect, and there's no reason we can't have a point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock this guy in the vise. I'm going to take that round point off and put a nice sharp point on it. I think taking a cold chisel and just knocking that sucker off is the best bet. So now we have a knife that has a point. Let me take a file and touch that up. I don't know what kind of heat treat's in a butter knife, but honestly it's got a lot of spring. It's a pretty decent steel. Good enough anyway. That's not bad at all. It's definitely usable. Although this is definitely not a great knife, it'll cut just fine. Not perfect, but not bad. Now with pretty much no expense added, you've got yourself a knife. Now you could take this knife and add shoelace to it, and then you basically have yourself a knife that's, I don't know, $1 maybe, once you figure in the leather shoelace. And a big upgrade over just that little cutting tool that came with the whistle and ferro rod. You know, over the years, I've got so much camping gear and sleeping bags and tents and outboard motors and whatnot. And sometimes it's easy to forget about the fact that there are people out there that are just kind of getting interested in the outdoors, kind of getting interested in camping and bushcraft and that sort of thing. And for those people, if they want to dabble in the outdoors without spending, you know, real money, but people that are just getting into the outdoors, if they see, you know, oh, I can afford, you know, 20 bucks to buy a couple things, maybe go out into a piece of state land and just kind of have fun for the day, you know, just dabbling with what you can do for $1. So something like that. Something like this, you've got a usable knife, you have some kind of a grip, you have some kind of cordage, it's got some kind of a lanyard, nothing fancy, nothing elaborate, but it's usable, it'll work, it'll do what you need it to do. So as far as a $2 survival kit, it might be a little bit of a stretch. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to claim that we're still at a $2 kit. My opinion is probably the next thing you would want is some kind of a cover, some kind of a tarp, something that you can, some portable shelter. And I don't really think you can get that for $1. I mean, you could say, you know, you could put a trash bag in there and that's something, but nobody really wants to live in a trash bag. Maybe go to Harbor Freight, buy yourself a 9x12 tarp. It's going to cost you like $7 at Harbor Freight. And then you're at $9, and you've got a cutting tool, you've got a backup cutting tool, you've got a fire starter, you've got a signaling device, and you have something for water and a tarp for $9. That'd be hard to beat. From there, I would probably go Goodwill or something. See if you can find yourself a cheap sleeping bag. I've seen sleeping bags for $3 all over the place. They're Coleman or Trails End, or, you know, just lower end stuff. If you're just camping in the summertime and a little bit into fall and spring, you don't really need anything really heavy duty. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind carrying it, you could buy 3 cheap sleeping bags and stuff one inside the next, and you know, it's going to be a pretty warm bag. Maybe another $2 for a roll of string. You know, you can get Mason's twine, you can get 500 feet of it for $3 or $4. Not anything you'd really want to use. It'd be kind of a one-use thing because it's so small, but it would give you all the cordage you'd ever need for next to nothing. Roll of clothesline, you know, of course everybody likes paracord. You can buy paracord if you want for $5 or $6, and you'd have cordage, you'd have some kind of a portable shelter and a tarp, you'd have something to hold water, you'd have a cutting tool, you'd have a signaling device and a fire starter for $12 or $13. And that's probably the place you should go with it from here. I thought of maybe keeping this series going with little additions, but I think those are the next steps. And, you know, I don't know if there's a lot to show on that. Get the best tarp you can for the least amount of money. Get the best cordage you can for the least amount of money. If you want a tool to carry water, say to add to a pot like this, so you can make water safe and then carry it, clean out an old milk jug. Costs you absolutely nothing. Not something you'd want to use all the time, but, you know, as far as a portable container, it's even collapsible. Just crush it down and, you know, you're good to go there. So what's the point of a $1 survival kit? And what's the point of a $2 survival kit? And what's the point? On and on and on. Why try to do that? Several reasons. Number one, it's always good to look at what you can do with the very least. Number two, there's always young kids out there that are brand new to the outdoors, brand new to bushcraft. It wouldn't be difficult for them to get the impression that you need hundreds of dollars of gear when somebody's, you know, splitting wood with a Granfers Brooks axe, and that's a $180 piece of equipment, or they've got a Bark River knife and that's a $250 piece of equipment. Nothing wrong with either one of those, but it does reinforce the impression that getting into the camping and outdoors and bushcraft, it requires a lot of high-end gear, and it doesn't. That's another reason for a series like this, is that so younger kids that are just getting excited and inspired by outdoor videos, they can see that they don't really need much of anything to go do an overnight or to go camping for a weekend, and that just a pocket full of change can get them pretty much whatever they need. So my thought with these last couple of videos of the $1 survival kit and the $2 survival kit is just to kind of open the door to people who might have had the impression that you need a lot of money to enjoy the outdoors. That's just simply not the case. And it's always good to see how much you can do with the very least. Thank you guys so much for watching Bushradical. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button and the bell so you get updates when I post videos, which I try to do often. My name's Dave Whipple and you've been watching Bushradical. And be radical, eh? See you soon.